Greg. You alright, bro?
Tired, man. I'm in a bad 2 weeks right now.
No.
I'm not. I've been doing this. Is my night every night like this.
You should come over.
I'm a fucking train wreck, man.
You should come over and hang out and play games.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time playing games right now. I feel bad when I play games. It makes me feel worse.
Yeah, I feel kind of shitty lately too, but
I just feel like I'm not doing anything with my life right now. I want to blow my brains out.
No, that's how I feel like. But then games take that out of my head, so that's why I play a lot of them. Oh fuck.
The AwayCast.
You're listening to Another Way Around. This is the AwayCast, episode number 29.
29?
Yeah, trumpet and everything. Guys, we're in the middle of a shitstorm right now. The shithawks are coming, Greg.
The shithawks are coming.
I'm here with Craig Andrew Della Rocca.
Howdy.
Oh, howdy there, partner. Also here, well, I'm not here with, but via Skype, coming in, Josh Hingy.
What up, yo?
Yo, man.
I'm excited. These midweek ones, like, I always start off, like, you know, as I'm leaving work, I'm always like, oh, fuck this. I want to go home and podcast. And then once I actually like, get on, once we get going, then I get all excited and I'm all hyped up.
Yeah, same thing. Like, you know, especially sitting, I got games sitting at home that need to be played. A lot of games because the PlayStation came out last week.
Yeah, it's also the perfect time to have this podcast. We were literally right in the middle of the shitstorm on the eve of the Xbox and like, you know, reflecting on the PS4 weekend.
Well, kind of the eve of Xbox.
Yeah, but like, fuck it. For me, like, I got to go pick it up at midnight tomorrow. I will not, after I go to bed tonight, I will not sleep again until there's an Xbox One in my house.
My dad always says, and a wake up. So he'll be like 3 and a wake up. And so
that's good. I like that. That's a good
so
terminology.
It's only a wake up. So you're right, I guess, one day. That works. Feel free to use that, everyone. Greg, you can use that.
Thank you.
2 and a wake up. There you go, Dad. There's your shout out. What's up, Dom? Yo, Dom just watched Breaking Bad in like 2 weeks. He watched like the whole season.
Shit.
Dude, the whole season.
It's good, man.
He's gonna laugh when he hears this, but
Wait, the whole season or the whole series?
I'm sorry, series. The entire
Jesus
series.
Christ.
He watched the whole thing from front to back.
That's good. It'll do that to you.
Yeah, but it's
I'm
like
working
snorting
my
the
way
biggest
through
line of coke. Like you just go and then it's all over.
Hold
and
on.
then you're like,
Christian, my friend Christian, he watched Lost, all 5 seasons of it in 3 days.
how?
Yeah, Lost is dumb.
How do
like,
you
Lost,
Or it was like 4
Lost
days.
is ridiculous. Like, Breaking Bad is emotionally, like, the highs and lows of Breaking Bad are so high and so low. And I shouldn't even say that. They're very, like, things are okay or they're fucking shitty. And that's why that show literally stresses me out where I'm like, 2 episodes, I'm good. This has been a stress.
My dad said he was emotional when it was over. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, you deal with that many ups and downs in a certain amount of time, you're gonna have like post-traumatic stress syndrome. Like
you just watched a 100-hour-long movie, pretty much,
with highs and lows and peaks and just crazy shit. I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing, but obviously I know Breaking Bad is the best show ever made.
Well, like when you're doing like a movie marathon, you throw a bunch of like junk, like movies like Independence Day or Terminator, where you're like, yeah, just pop this in.
You
This
don't
is
get
not
emotional when he does this. The president does the speech.
Like I get excited, but I don't sit there and be like tear up and go, oh man, America.
We will not go quietly into the night.
We will not surrender without a fight.
See,
That's great.
I shed a tear every time.
But like doing all of Breaking Bad, oh man, I feel like I'd be a wreck.
Yeah, he like ordered all sorts of regalia, like all sorts of Breaking Bad shirts, and like he just became the giant fanboy overnight for Breaking Bad, almost literally. But I'll probably get him some meth for Christmas. We'll see. If he's lucky, I'll put it in his stocking.
Hey, it's not too late to start a bad habit.
Yeah. Well, I always wanted my dad to play video games, but you know what? Breaking Bad, watching TV shows. He watches Game of Thrones. You know, he's into all the shows. Walking Dead. Blah blah blah. So you know, that's the next best entertainment level, right?
You seemed like you hit your. You've seemed to hit a threshold of annoyance with Breaking Bad, John.
Oh no,
really
I still. Well, see, it wasn't annoying until my dad started telling me to watch the show. Like, John, you have to watch Breaking Bad. I'm like, Dad, every single one of my friends already hates me because I haven't watched the season. And then, among all the other things that your dad scolds, reprimands, and disciplines you for, he's telling me to watch
TV show advice.
Yeah. So it's like my dad coming over and like, John, you got to configure your router. You got to make sure like Dad, you don't know what that is. Just kidding. Dad, love you. So how you guys doing, Craig?
I'm all right.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, you seem kind of high in spirits today.
Yeah.
A little quiet. On the way over here, I noticed it was a little chilly out. Getting cold in this New York weather, huh?
Pretty cold out there.
Yeah, huh? We're talking about the weather. All right, good episode. Hey, Josh, how's the weather over there?
It's fine. People are going to start thrusting Christmas upon me. I'm not ready for it. Not until after Thanksgiving.
No, it's already November 1st. Or, right after Halloween. Yeah, November 1st.
You've been taken in. You've been converted.
They shove it down your throat. When the radio stations start converting over to Christmas music and you start walking into stores and it hits you. And
I have not been, like, normally I'm super, super, like, nothing until Thanksgiving. I've been a little more lax this year. Like, department stores, when I hear them playing Christmas music, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Like, they're putting up the lights and by our work, and I'm kind of starting to enjoy that. But the house can't do anything until after Thanksgiving. That's when we'll put up the decorations and stuff.
Right. I'm happy that the beer is out, like the Christmas beers and shit. That's the seasonal stuff I really like. After I found out, well, life spoilers. Santa's not real.
Life spoilers.
He after I figured that out, I just started drinking, and then when Sam Adams Seasonal came out, then I had a new reason to believe. But that's it. So something happened on Friday, Josh. What was it?
Nothing. I didn't do anything on Friday. My Friday was actually. So, do you know what? Amazon's great because you're gonna have to go sit in a line while waiting for consoles and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean you have to wait on some fucking Amazon UPS driver to show up your package.
Well, apparently, judging by all your status updates and stuff, you got something you got it kind of late.
Yeah, I didn't get the PlayStation 4 until 6:30.
Oh my god.
On Friday, and I took off work. I could have actually gone to work, come home, and not missed anything.
You should have took off Monday.
Yeah, I should have in retrospect, but I had no idea. Like, the UPS guy's super sketch. Sometimes he's like at my house at noon, and sometimes he's not there until 6:30 in the evening.
I'm pretty lucky. I usually get my packages around 11 in the morning, and that's almost exactly when my PS4 showed up.
But you're very lucky.
Yeah, so I hit refresh a few times. I try to pace it every 15 minutes. Like, all right, okay. And I was half thinking, because I went to a midnight release with my friend Sean, in Brooklyn. We went to a midnight release, and it was like, it was freezing cold. It was like, it was not sketchy, but it was like the GameStop employees, they just didn't have it organized correctly. I don't know if for some sort of legal reason, like you can't be inside the store, because there wasn't enough people there at certain points to keep everyone outside at 2 a.m. because that's how long it took for them to sell these things.
Jesus.
Dude, I swear, I think people went in there and were like, so, okay, what games are good? Like, people don't do their research. Like, they walk in and they're like, so what's out? Like, so can I get Call of Duty, Battlefield? Is that out? So they let 4 people in at a time, and it took... Was
there any palpable excitement when you went there, or was it just like a bunch of people just silently staying there, kind of kicking their feet?
Well, it was a little... It was in Brooklyn, not the super greatest part of Brooklyn, so there was a bunch of police cars out there, obviously waiting for someone to get jumped.
Yeah.
There was guys there with their pit bulls, like standing out there, not even waiting for a system. Like
just to like make sure that like no one, like this pit bull was gonna kill someone if they try to take a PS4.
No, well, yeah, maybe he's offering the neighborhood protection. He's part of the neighborhood watch, just helping anyone trying to pick up PS4. There were people showing up at like 2:30, like, yo, you got any systems? You got any PS4s left? Got anything? And then they're like, no, like we're all sold out. And they're like, nah, man, that's fucked, man. That's stupid, man. That's dumb. I'm here. Like, what? And we're just like, oh my God, just go away. You're creating problems. Go away.
Like they were in front of you in line, just sitting there doing that?
No, like, well, they would show up. Like the lines were already made and everything was paid for, and guys would show up and be upset that they like couldn't instantly walk in and grab a PS4.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it just opens your eyes to show how clueless a lot of people are when it comes to this kind of shit. Or like maybe these people weren't gamers when the last consoles released. Maybe, maybe they were either younger or just not part of, I don't know.
Maybe they didn't have the disposable income.
Or the hive mind mentality where we all know what we're doing because we're all smart.
So me and Ty went down to our local GameStop and I just wanted to check it out. I just wanted to see like what the excitement level was at. And like, you would have thought I walked into a fucking wake. It was a bunch of people very quietly, like kind of milling about, just everyone like, the only thing that was missing was like paper, like small little hand-sized paper plates and finger food, and just people kind of being like, "Yeah, he was a nice guy." It was super, and like we walked in, and I was just like, "Let's get the fuck out of here. This is ridiculous." And we were talking if we were gonna do like a console launch or something like that. If we owned a video game store, we would do crazy shit. Like first off, like as an employee, I would be doing shots of liquor in the back. I would, be hammered. I would hold like a spoon with an egg on it and like give it to the first 10 people and be like, hey, whoever drops their egg first is the 10th person.
Whoa, bro, you're crazy, bro. Getting the egg spoon game out there.
See, I would throw it up some way.
Throwing it back to the kiddie picnic games when we were 8 years old.
See, and then people would shut the hell up.
Then we're gonna put you in a potato sack, and you're gonna race him in a potato sack. We're doing shit fucking crazy tonight. We're gonna tie your legs together, and you're gonna do a run. You're gonna run
3-legged race.
Then we have a scavenger hunt,
which would be much better than people just sitting around, just being like,
yeah. You here for PS4? Is this the line? Okay.
No, how about some pin the tail on the fucking donkey?
Yeah. It was actually so like. I think there was so much like trust or so much like not caring in that room that there wasn't even a line. People were just kind of being like, I guess I'll get it when I get it.
All right. Sure. I mean, I had friends that went to into the meatpacking district where Game Trailers and Jeff Keighley or whoever was doing their thing. Was it IGN? Who was it?
No, that was Game. It was Game Trailers.
Game Trailers, yeah. So Jeff Keighley was down by the Standard Hotel. And that was a scene, apparently, but it was freezing cold out. But I had friends that went, and they said it was cool. They were talking to some developers and things like that. They were around. And they had a couple of announcements there. I was super disappointed because...
In the announcements, or?
Yeah. Well, because rumored all day that they were going to announce throwback PlayStation game, like... Going back to Mark Cerny's, going back to his roots, like there's going to be a huge announcement. And I'm thinking like, whoa, this has got to be Crash Bandicoot. Like there's no way this would be so just monumental if on the release day of PlayStation, they were like, yo, Crash Bandicoot's coming back. Especially since that trailer came out where it had like 1,000 Easter eggs of all the old PlayStation IP. Yeah, and he was in it a very small part, so it kind of hinted at it. But it turned out the big announcement was just Uncharted.
Yeah, well, and that you can play as Old Snake. You can play as Old Snake.
That's
guys.
So stupid. Oh my god, why would you want to do that?
You got this brand new system with all the graphics, and you can play as old PS1 looking Snake.
So, Greg, you can on PlayStation only. Metal Gear Solid's coming. Metal Gear 5 and what's the other one?
Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes is coming out. And the secret character you can play with only on PlayStation is the player model from Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1 from PlayStation 1.
They didn't update the player model, so it's like he's like all like squares.
Yeah,
he's like
triangles. You can play as that like it's a feature. Like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
And he still has Kiefer Sutherland's voice. They couldn't even get David Hayter to do the voice. No. It's still Kiefer Sutherland.
It's great. It's hilarious. But yeah, it was really... I mean, I think we all could have expected that Uncharted was going to be another PlayStation exclusive on, down the road at some point.
They also moodier than Uncharted normally looks.
Yeah, but you can't even say anything. Like all they showed, it was a teaser. It was a map. It was a map with some dialogue behind it that people are deciphering to figure out what the storyline is going to be. Obviously, but you can't say that like there's no evidence that points in any direction in terms of game or gameplay.
Well, I mean, and it's not I mean, definitely don't know what stage of development it is in, which is, they literally could have they couldn't even have greenlit it yet. They could have literally just been internally been like, yeah, we'll make another one. Just throw the Uncharted name up there. We'll fucking figure it out later.
Right. Surprise, Uncharted. Like, whatever.
That being said, the map is of the Madagascar area, and so that might be the setting, which would be cool. Like, they're running out of those exotic settings. They did South America for the first one. They did Arabia in the third one. They did India in the second one. And so now they're heading to Africa. There's only so many stereotypical adventure settings, right?
What they got to start doing is bringing do it like that movie that those Nick Cage movies where he's finding stuff that's in like the modern day world, stuff that's hidden underneath houses or some shit.
They should just make a
National Treasure shit.
Yeah, National Treasure. He's got to go into the Library of Congress and pull a book out, and it opens like a secret doorway where he goes down to some old cavern that is made by the Aztecs or some shit. I don't know.
And then he takes his face off.
And then he's John Travolta.
Are you going to give Naughty Dog approval to use that?
No.
They got to call us.
No, they just got to come up with something else. That's my idea.
That's Greg's idea. Don't take it. Yeah, they also said Destiny is going to get some exclusive content on PlayStation, or the beta. The beta's coming to PlayStation first. If you guys are interested in Destiny, I don't know how much further in front. How further?
What the fuck?
How much further?
How much earlier?
How much earlier is the word? I'm saying further, like distance, but we're thinking time here. Earlier. How much earlier it is going to be in terms of both consoles, but. I was thinking some bigger announcements. I thought Parappa was going to come. I would have been disappointed a little less if they at least showed Parappa. But apparently that's in the works, and apparently Crash is in the works. I was disappointed by that. But yeah, then the next day we got our PlayStations. So, Josh, what's the first thing you did when you got your PlayStation?
The first thing I did... Well, the first
thing I did... Did you scream like a little kid? Like, were you like, PlayStation? Like Nintendo
Absolutely.
64 kid?
I think me and Ty made the worst unboxing video ever. It didn't even go up anywhere. Like, it was so bad.
Why did you record it?
I was just like... he's like, should we record it? I was like, I guess so. That's what people do. And just opened it, and at the end, I was like, there's no reason to put this
I can imagine Ty holding up a video camera and you in your bathrobe, and he's like, okay, open it. And you're like, oh yeah, like Christmas morning home movies.
That would have been a better video than what we did. Yeah. That would have been better. At one point, he's like, "Do I still need to do this?" I was like, "No, this is stupid."
Yeah, I unboxed my shit and hooked it up so fast just to see how long the update would take because I didn't put mine on a flash drive, and it didn't take too long. It was only like 8 minutes, maybe.
I was very nervously sweated. I was like, of course, now that I've waited forever, I'm going to be the one fucker who has their PlayStation break the moment he plugs it in. But no, it went off without a hitch.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a problem in the beginning, actually, believe it or not. I plugged everything in, and my games were not getting dialogue audio.
Oh, that's weird.
I think it had to do with my HDMI cord. So I unhooked and reconfigured everything, and it ended up working out. But my disc tray was also making some really strange revving noises. I think I sent you that video, Josh, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was making some weird noises, but that's all gone away, and I hope it stays away because it was something like 0.1%, or is it, no, what, 1%?
0.4.
Okay.
Is the number that they kept saying.
So half of 1% of people are getting bummed out PS4s, which that sucks. But
and actually, the turnaround on that is much better than it was, the last generation. We had an Xbox fuck up on us, and we that process took forever, but this is supposed to just be 9 business days. They'll send you a box, turn it around, 9 business days that you come back.
9 days though? Ugh, I couldn't do 9 days.
Yeah, but I remember our Xbox being gone for a month.
Yeah, I talked to Max on Xbox Live support about 6 times to get my Xbox replaced. It was not fun. I was a pro at boxing and unboxing at that point and shipping and mailing. I knew all the FedEx locations that I do. It was shit, but I'm glad that hasn't happened yet. So Greg and I had a play date the other day. I had to cancel on him because I wanted him to come check out PS4, but we weren't fortunate yet. Hopefully this weekend. This weekend on Saturday, I'm gonna do my 24-hour gaming marathon. I'm not sure yet if I want to split it up into 12 and 12, but either way, I'm gonna play 24 hours this weekend at some point, and a few people are gonna come over. Again, a hero. Greg will come over. Josh, maybe we'll touch base. Maybe play some games. But
you should be able to Skype on the Xbox One.
Maybe that's a possibility. That's probably a good idea. Actually, we should record something. But yeah, we're working out all the kinks. But I'm hoping we can, even though we have brand new consoles, I have a couple of TVs, so I'm hoping to get some people playing some old school stuff. And Super Mario 3D Worlds comes out on Friday as well, so that'll be 4-player co-op. That game is getting scores that I've never seen before. That's
insane. Like, it has gotten a great reception.
Yeah, I'm excited. We played it for like 10 seconds at Comic-Con. But that game is, I guess people are dubbing it the Wii U seller. Like, you should buy a Wii U to play this game. So it's 4 players. I have 4 controllers. We'll do that on Saturday. I'll have board games. I think I'm going to get a 6 to 8 foot hero. Greg, what do you like on your sandwich?
Meats and cheeses.
Okay. Put a little enchilada on there.
Anything that's meat or cheese.
Okay. So what about Pillow Greg? Pillow Greg, anything?
He's sick.
Oh, so I'll get him a soup.
Get him a nice soup.
So, Josh, the UI for PlayStation. What do you think of that UI, man? Let's talk about it, because I have to say I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. So basically what it keeps doing is it does that scroll function, almost like with Netflix, how you just keep scrolling to the right. And and you can get to your library eventually. I don't know if it bookends it. I don't have enough games to know how deep that can go. But my worry is that if I say I want to play a game that I haven't played in like a year that's downloaded onto my console, I'll have to scroll for a really long time until I get there, and that crap can get lost in there. But there is a library function. I just don't know if that will always stay within your next last 10 things that you have used, or if that's going to bump way down with everything else.
Right, because everything I've played right now, and I think I've played maybe 6 games now, they're all up there, still there. So maybe it's 10. I'm hoping it's something like that. Did you get a camera? PlayStation camera?
I didn't get a camera.
No.
Did you?
No, I didn't. I figured I'm going to have one with the... I mean... like the thing they showed on Jimmy Fallon and everything with the camera, it's all that novelty item. Like, I think the first Kinect is a kindred spirit to what Sony just put out. They didn't call it anything. It's called the Sony camera, right?
I hear it's functional, but it sounds like the giant difference between Sony and Microsoft's is that Microsoft's interface is built around the Kinect. Like, it is literally Kinect friendly, whereas Sony's interface is built for a controller, but it also works with a camera.
I'm worried because today a lot of reviews are coming out for consoles, which I don't generally agree with review scores for consoles. I think that's a little ridiculous, but the reviews are necessary, obviously. So a lot of them are coming out talking about the UI, and I'm worried because I'm not a big fan of virtual clutter. Like, I don't like my games spread out all over the place, and apparently the UI is like Windows 8, a little more so than the current dashboard. I'm a little concerned about that.
I was watching a video of someone navigating it, not Xbox people. This was a reviewer navigating it, and this publication did a really great job of not publishing a review. They literally just said, this is good. We're going to post a video, 20 minutes, unedited, of us navigating around, and you can just watch that and make up your own mind on how it works. And it seemed like he had to repeat himself a lot. It always seemed to work on the second time he'd say something, and he also seemed to have a lot of trouble finding the right buzzword, because you have to just saying go to TV may not be right. You have to say snap TV, and then you have to say now go to TV, or sometimes his controller would be guiding the wrong spot.
Right. Like, there's certain scenarios in certain games where you'd want to be like, Xbox, play Rise, and it won't. you'll have to say, Xbox, play Rise Son of Rome, and then it'll play. Like, it's not good. It's very good with specific words, but it's not good if you're trying to, run a slang on their words or anything like that. Like, the keywords are what's going to activate it.
And so, like, maybe that stuff will get better as it goes on. I imagine it will get better as it goes on. And I think it also takes some, like, we'll have to get used to it. We'll have to kind of understand what it's going to know and what it won't know. And I imagine that'll help a lot as well.
Well, it seems as though, let's start with the social feed on PlayStation 4. I think that's the biggest mess on there. If you go to what's new on one of the squares on the XMB or whatever it is, the OS, there's a feed of all your friends and what they've been up to, not just trophies, but games they've played, what they've accomplished in games. And the idea is there. It's sort of like an RSS feed that compiles all of your friends' activities, but it's visually upsetting. It is a little overbearing at times. Nothing is organized. That's kind of the clutter that I was saying I'm worried about with Xbox. It just it becomes.
It seems like they made it so that there's some sort of, because some stuff is larger than others. Sometimes you'll get a rectangle, sometimes you'll get a little square.
Right.
And so they probably have a connection as to why something's bigger than something else. This is more important than this, but it doesn't communicate very well. And so I didn't try to figure it out. I just looked at it and was like, okay, I kind of see how this works, but I don't give a shit. And so
I like it. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's really going to shine once more people start getting PlayStation 4s. I think the fact that I have about 6 friends on there right now, including you, Josh, like, it's basically just all my stuff on there. Me, you, my cousin, a handful of other people, not even. Because I don't know too many people who actually personally picked up a PS4. But going through the dash a little more, should I call it dash or the OS a little more? I think the way it organizes the games is all right for now. Like you said, Josh, it's quick and easy access.
The highlight that I found was that when I was playing Killzone and I backed out of Killzone, I thought I might play something else. And then I decided, no, I'll jump back into it and keep playing this multiplayer. And so I went down to recent activity for Killzone, and it had the exact same multiplayer match that I had been in before. And so I literally could just jump right back in that match. I didn't have to restart the game. I didn't have to go to any menus. It literally just brought me right into a lobby, and instantly I was playing again, and that was awesome.
So the thing that comes off as most next gen to me about my experience so far with the PlayStation 4 is exactly that. It's the seamlessness jumping back and forth through the OS into the games. So once you install Killzone, you have to install it, and you patch it and everything, and you go through the initial startup of it. Once you go back to Killzone, there's no throughout the game, there's no splash screen, no logo cards, like no logos pop up. It gets you right into the game. So immediately, within a few seconds, you can jump right into a multiplayer match or even single player. If you want to go back to your, like, say you're checking out your trophies and you want to see what you have to get in Killzone, if you double tap the button on the PlayStation button, you can switch back and forth between gameplay and the OS, like, basically seamlessly. It happens so fast, and the way you're popping screens feels truly next gen. And I think that's something that we're going to see a little more prevalently on the Xbox, just with all the other media integration with TV. But,
well, even with, like, I was playing, I went and played Netflix, or like I was watching something on Netflix, and my, where I was in Killzone saved exactly where it was. Once I got out of Netflix, I went back to Killzone and just hopped right back into my game.
Right. So when you're starting a download or something like that, you can jump back into a game. You can manage things on your dash, jump back in the game. Like, you can tell there's no slowdown, there's no hitches. It's
so much faster. Those downloads are so much faster.
Yeah, well, everything's faster. You can tell PSN definitely upped their game, at least right now.
From, like, I tweeted the comparison, and it took, like, literally when I downloaded Assassin's Creed 4 onto my PS3, I woke up super early, went into my living room, started the download, and then went back to bed. I woke up like 3 hours later and started playing it. And, like, Assassin's Creed 4 downloaded while I was playing something else, while I had Contrast and Resogun downloading, and was done in like 45 minutes.
So right now there's no limit to how many items you can queue up, which is a problem for some people that are only doing digital. So, if you queue up 5 different items at once, you could chug a little. But you can do a few at once, and I guess it's not a big deal.
I had 4 going at once. Something paused, like something like crapped out on me, and that happened a couple times where, like in the middle of downloading, something would suddenly just pop up and say can't download, and I have to start it over again. But it still didn't take very long.
So far, there's no real customization with the OS in terms of color, or you could link it to your Facebook and get pictures on there. And something that's kind of cool is kind of like your contacts in I don't know, I guess your contacts on Gmail. You can have their gamer tag displayed. Like Greg, if you were, Chat's your boy, and then I do a name request, I can see Greg Delarocca and then your gamer tag below it, or your PSN ID, whatever. So, you can have a more personal relationship, whatever. If you like digital organization like I do, it's a really cool feature. The way that, well, let's talk about Killzone then, Josh, because that's probably a good way to talk about how the OS works seamlessly with that game. You mentioned before that you jumped out of Killzone and then jumped right back into the server. So if Josh was playing Killzone without even being in the game, I can go through the OS, click on him, and get the information of the server that he's in, like what map they're playing, how many people are in the server, what their PSN IDs are. I'm not sure if it shows a score or anything, but then I could jump, if Killzone's in or have it completely installed, I could just jump into the game from the OS, which makes it really, really easy to, play with friends. And hey, PlayStation has a party system now.
Yeah. Cross-game chat. It's finally here.
I can't believe it took that long. I guess it was too hard to patch in or anything like that. But the technology, it's way better. Thank God.
No one's still talking. It's really funny. Like, well, there's a giant difference.
It comes with a headset now, so I'm glad that, at least that everyone has a mic if you had to.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I remember playing PlayStation 3 and I tried to play with friends and I was like, oh, I guess I got to go buy a Bluetooth headset. I went to Best Buy and got like some cell phone one. I don't, whatever. So Killzone, Josh, how was your experience with it so far?
You want to talk multiplayer or single player first?
Well, I'll segue into multi because I played a lot of multiplayer. That's probably my favorite game right now. Multiplayer wise, it's fantastic. But go ahead, and did you finish the single player yet?
Yeah, I finished the single player. I like every Killzone game I played, and for people who haven't played the series before, it's the story of the VSA, which is this planet Vecta, and they are these people who live in this very lush, very Earth-like planet, and then they have these descendants of theirs, the Helghast, who went to live on this mining colony planet, and they, because of the toxins, they got all fucked up, and it's all about the war between them. It's like a civil war between them. They are constantly fighting. They're never at peace, and in the last game, spoiler alert to anyone who didn't play Killzone 3, their planet's destroyed, and so now the Helgen, or the Helghast, and Vector are living on the same planet. It's rife for comparisons to all sorts of like conflict that happens in the real world. There's a lot of like easy messages that can be done, a lot of interesting conflict, and the games always ignore all of it and just in favor of being these dumb, these dumb tunneled shooters. And they just lack any sort of larger vision. And that goes for all aspects of it. Like even the gameplay, I felt that a lot of it, I was like, it was just checklists of like, okay, this is the stealth mission. This is the flying mission. This is like, this is the turret mission. Train mission. Yeah.
The turret, you're completely right with the checklist thing. I think that, any kind of tyrannical conflict where the minority is being oppressed, but they're evil with good intentions. I mean, you're right. Like it's a cookie cutter story without a doubt. I think, do you think maybe they did that because they didn't want to take a risk with too much of an obtuse story?
It's definitely possible. Like, I mean, given the launch lineup, I'm sure that they have to get it in at a very specific date. And to be fair, this game starts to like toy with some of these ideas, which are like so fucking obvious. Like 2 and 3, it literally, it was just abysmal how little they paid attention to the people you're fighting. But in this one, they start to at least nod to like, hey, these enemies are actually people, and they do have their own set of ideals and culture that might be interesting to explore. And then kind of just pushes it to the side and goes, we don't have time to explore this, and just moves along.
Well, they probably didn't. This game was made under pressure. They approached Guerrilla Games and said, we want a new Killzone. So, under the clock, I think that checklist is a good standby.
And that's a fair argument for something, for that mediocrity.
I think the visual fidelity, I know that's a buzzword now, but goddamn, this game is absolutely gorgeous.
Looks amazing. There's no argument there.
It's definitely, even if, what Josh said kind of turns you off from the story, this game is the game you want on PlayStation 4 if you want to understand that we have leaped into the next generation of console gaming. It
looks prettier than Battlefield, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. There's times where you can't tell if you're still in a cutscene or not. And it's a real thing of beauty growing up with games your whole life, and then seeing that return where you're like, okay, excuse me, we're here. Like, this is it. This is a launch game. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do.
For sure.
So they bring up a lot of they show a lot of muscle of the system, just like they did when Vita came out. Like, all the games had to show off the features. So in the game you're playing, obviously they have to add some kind of mechanic to differentiate it from just a rail shooter. So they have your companion, the owl, right, Josh?
Yeah. There's problems with the owl too.
Well, there's problems with the owl, but it was my first experience with the touchpad. And what do you think about that? Like, how did the touchpad work?
At first, I thought it was wonky. At first, it was like, oh, this might not work very well. But then, as I went along, the switching, because you're just you directional up, down, left, right on the touchpad.
You're swiping
to change the function of the owl. And by the time I was in the last levels, I had that functionality down perfect. The problem that I was having, like I explained to you earlier, was that trying to aim it at something, like especially when you have to use it for stunning enemies and disarming their shields, that's probably the biggest use you'll get out of it. And when you have to use that, you'll point at an enemy and you'll say, go to that enemy and use your shield and stun them. They'll go to that area. They won't recognize if the enemy moves. So the enemy will duck out of there. It'll go to the same area, explode the shield. Then it has to sit and recharge. So you've wasted it. And so just a little more intuitiveness with that would have been fantastic.
Well, what I said to you, Josh, was I think maybe, I don't know if they were trying to avoid typical RPG tack on, but I think it would have been cool if you could have upgraded the owl.
That would have been nice too.
Minor upgrade ability, just to make something better or add some kind of mechanic. But I'm sure that's something that's crossed. They took it out for whatever reasons they had, or they didn't include it rather, or maybe they never thought of it. I don't know. I'm assuming, but I think they could have added that for some flavor. But overall, I had a pretty enjoyable experience with it. I don't think. It was held back. Definitely held back in certain areas. Story, gameplay, like everything was held back.
Well, it's definitely like if you're buying the PlayStation 4 and you're like, I want a shooter to see how this hardware's evolved. I think that's the one to get. I think it's totally competent in that regard.
Right. I enjoyed the ending. I thought the ending was interesting. Some people had some problems with it. I don't know. I was. Maybe people expect that big Call of Duty nuke ending, like something like that, but I thought it was all right how it ended.
Are you talking about the literal ending or the last mission?
Well, let's not get too deep into it, but
no, I know, but I'm not going to get into spoilers.
The
I'm just
overall end of the game. I like how they finished it off.
I thought the final note was interesting.
I thought it was really cool. I really, I didn't, you know what? I questioned that, but I didn't see it coming. Maybe I was just being ignorant, but I did not see that coming. And when it did, I was like, oh, that's...
I think I know what you're talking about. And I liked that aspect of it a lot. Yeah.
Right. One of the things was predictable because it wasn't, you saw it going down the path with, what's his face? The black dude.
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't remember. Not very memorable characters, huh?
No.
But
he yelled a lot. Yelling guy, we'll call him.
yeah, Yellen Man. The girl was definitely memorable. She's a character that I think is kind of a staple in the series now. I can't even remember her name.
Echo is her name.
Echo. She was great. Although the certain missions where you had to control her sniping and stuff like that. I mean, the game is not without its gameplay faults, obviously. But I never really experienced any technical hiccups. It was always beautiful. And, it's about an 8-hour game, I'd say, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So, I'd say play it. Now, Josh, how much did you get your hands on the multiplayer?
I played 5 hours of multiplayer.
That's not bad.
Yeah, after you endorsed it, I was like, I should definitely spend some time with this.
So the multiplayer at first comes off a little overwhelming. It's like, okay, what class do I pick? It's between 3 classes: support, scout, and is it soldier? No, not soldier. Assault.
Assault, yeah.
But all of the classes offer a wide variety of options. Now, what I really like that they did in this multiplayer was that you don't level up anymore. It's not like Call of Duty where, you get so much XP every time you kill someone that you level up. What they've done now is they've integrated a challenge system, which is not completely original, but that challenge system is the basis for all of your unlocks rather than just leveling up, without just using a leveling system like Call of Duty has, or even Battlefield, or any of these multiplayer shooters. There's a certain inevitability that things will unlock, and what they do in Killzone, every gun, every objective, everything offers a challenge based on what you do to unlock new things. So what it does, it offers a variety of gameplay because people are trying to obtain these challenges rather than just going through and getting a ridiculous number of kills. So right there it adds variety to the gameplay.
Well, and ideally, you'll be leveling up in what you're good at, right? Like if you're naturally finishing these, list of challenges, you're going to get these unlocks, and it's going to play to your strengths.
Right, but if I really want C4, I have to kill so many people with this grenade, or I have to... So that's number one, where it offers this kind of breath of fresh air without the inevitability that everyone will eventually prestige and get the most stuff, and everyone will be the same at the end, because everybody has a different play style. Number two is that they have a multiplayer mode called Warzone, which obviously that sounds like a typical name, but what's great is that it's a running game. You play to 5, but you don't play to 5. You play,
you can play to 5 or 3.
Well, it's best out of 5. So you don't play 2-5. It's best out of 5. But even if you have 4 and the other team has 0, they'll still play another round. So you'll play 5 rounds. But each round, it changes what the game type is. So round 1 can be like, I don't know what they call it. It's not territories, but it's the equivalent of territories. Round 2 could be team deathmatch. Round 3 can be attack and defend, which is like Call of Duty's search and destroy kind of. There's this beacon one, protect the beacon, where it's like oddball. You have to rush back and forth and score points. So, and this is constantly changing, switching between game modes. So what it does is it encourages people to play differently, which is something that I think, online shooters really need. And I've found myself kind of obsessed with the pacing of it. So I've gone back and forth, tried every different play style, tried to get all the unlocks, and everything is really gratifying. I mean, the abilities that they offer, whether it be shields or an owl or revive, everything serves its purpose. There's nothing that's too overpowered. I found a really good real good balance in the game, which I think a lot of shooters in the past, moving forward, they can use this as an example to adopt, or at least consider adopting, a new way of thinking.
Is it strange playing so much first-person shooter multiplayer stuff with a PlayStation controller?
Well, I mean, you're playing more than I am. I'm playing Battlefield and everything else on when Xbox comes out. but the only first-person game I've played is
You played a lot of this, right? I mean, it seems like you spent a decent amount of time with Killzone.
Oh yeah, plenty of time. And let me tell you, the controller is fantastic. I mean, I can't say enough. I'm still, I still favor the Xbox controller a bit, the Xbox One controller even. But
the one complaint I have is the trigger buttons, they come to a point almost at the bottom.
Yeah,
and that throws me a little bit. But it's a very minor complaint.
Right, I haven't had an issue with that. I find them to be very, very comfortable. The spacing out of the analog sticks is increased the comfortableness tenfold. I mean, this thing is, it's seamless now. I can playing PlayStation for however many years I've played it. I can never really get a handle on first-person shooters on there, whether it be Killzone or Resistance, or Resistance. I even played Medal of Honor. I remember playing Medal of Honor when DualShock 1 first came out. I never really got the handle on them, and I think that's a popular opinion, right?
Yeah, I think that everyone, who really enjoys first-person shooters enjoys them better on the Xbox.
Like, Greg, you have a PlayStation 3. Do you find it hard to...
It's a DVD player.
Yeah, basically. Blu-ray even, or just DVDs?
Mostly regular DVDs.
You play CDs?
Sometimes I play CDs on it.
Just pop a CD in?
Yeah.
You burn a CD, drag a couple of MP3s over.
Yeah.
Click burn, fill it up.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. That's pretty much... It's my media center.
Yeah. But how does the CD menu feel navigating it with the DualShock 3? Yeah, how's your accuracy?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I honestly, I've probably used it. I probably watch more movies on my Xbox than I even do the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 is kind of just like a huge paperweight that's somewhere. I don't even know where it is anymore. I think it's under my bed.
Yeah, I think you played The Last of Us, and that was
the only game I played on that thing, and I've had it for so long. I honestly, I had some other games when it came out, never even played them.
You played Mag.
I played Mag for one night, and it didn't work, and I never played it again.
Yeah.
I brought it back immediately, bought an Xbox game.
Infinite Undiscovery.
That wasn't that Xbox? We played that on Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
to that point, that was the thing I thought was impressive about Killzone over Battlefield 4, which is having just such a shit show over there on the PlayStation 4. Like, Killzone just works. That was what I really found impressive.
Yeah, I was super impressed by the fact that there were no technical hiccups. Everybody that was in my party stayed in my party. Like, nobody got dropped. We went through 5 or 6 games in a row with no hiccups, just over and over. The only problems we had was with people killing us. Like, there's no other aggravation. So, right there, it just says so much. And I even think with, Battlefield, I love Battlefield. And I'll play some Call of Duty multiplayer as well. Probably not as much, but I think Killzone might be, competing with Battlefield for like my multiplayer game that I want to play, like the fun multiplayer game. It's that good, I think. So if you're looking for a good shooter multiplayer wise, definitely play Killzone online. It's fantastic. Well, Josh, so now that PS Plus is required, the system comes with a free month, right? $10 credit, can't beat that. So the first game everyone is buying, and the highest rated game right now for the PlayStation 4 is
Resogun.
Yeah, Resogun. It's so good.
I love Resogun.
So I was playing before I came here. I was like, all right, let me get a couple quick games in real quick.
That's what I was doing. Literally right before, like, when you texted me, I was sitting there playing Resogun. That game is just incredibly addicting.
Greg, do you ever play Geometry Wars or
Yeah, I played those.
How do you feel about those kind of
Those are really great to play when you're stoned.
Analog. What would you even call that anymore? Analog shooter?
Just trippy world.
Dual stick shooter
game.
Dude, you're gonna love Resogun. You're gonna want to buy a PS4 for Resogun.
Really?
Like, it's seriously that good. So Josh, how you doing? I noticed I beat a couple of your high scores. I
saw that, and so when people talk about that, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's so it's bringing back that same competition that I remember when Geometry Wars first came out. Everyone was trying to best each other, and I haven't had that kind of high score friendly competition since, like, I think we were too young to even understand what that's like. Like being a child. Well, you're a child of the 70s and you know the 80s, like the arcade revolution, when that all happened, you know, you're competing for high scores. So it's a rush when, you know, 5 or 6 of my friends are on the leaderboard and like people are all in competition with each other and people are doing better and better. It's really, it's like going back to the roots of video games, like get the high score.
Well, exactly. And I think the other thing that really struck me about it is that those old arcade games, like you walk into an arcade and, you know, you just see some dude walk up with a bag of quarters and sit down in front of, you know, whether it was Pac-Man or Asteroid or whatever, Space Invaders, and they would just own that machine and they would get a crowd around them because people just enjoyed watching someone with that much skill play something, you know, with such high stakes.
I'm excited to play Resogun this weekend when people are around and like pass the controller around and have people play, because it hits that point where like you've got a 7 multiplier and your score is really high and you got 1 life left and everyone's like, ooh, and you make that barely just escape like through a couple of guys and you're dodging and weaving. It's just like you said, like the old school, just like crowding around a guy with a mullet at an arcade. The mullet's important.
Exactly. And that's what I love. I love sitting there, you know, and just those moments where you find yourself in a groove, right? You're just sitting there, you're got your multiplier up, you haven't, you know, you've saved all the humans, you haven't lost any lives, you haven't used any bombs, and just riding that high as far as you can is so good.
Yeah, but the low, when you take a hit, you better not have the dog near you. You're gonna kick the dog if you break that combo meter.
That like, and just like, you know, I'm usually pretty good about talking while I'm playing video games. Like if someone comes and has a conversation, I can usually do that multitask. But there are moments where I'm playing Resogun and I'm just like, don't fucking talk to me. No one talk to me. Right. Like I'm just in the moment here.
Yeah, it's super addicting.
So anyone who doesn't, you know, who's unfamiliar with the game, it's a cone shooter. So you're flying around in a circle shooting things. And then you have to shoot these keepers, these little green guys, which will open up humans. You get the humans, bring them to a safe zone and save the humans. So those are the main mechanics you have at work. And it's balancing that. You have bombs that can wipe everything out, and then you just got to shoot everything else. And that's the core of the game. But it's executed so well that it's always one more play, one more try.
I mean, the shtick here is that there's particles everywhere. Like, there's times where you have everything upgraded, your gun's upgraded, your special move, what's it called? The
bombs?
No, you have that one special move that gives you...
Overdrive?
Overdrive. You activate that, and it's just like particles flying everywhere. So it's funny to me that this game is the one... Like, this game has to be pushing some kind of barrier open for technology. I mean, like if you look at Geometry Wars and the way that fared on the Xbox when it first came out, you know, it was, even though it was something that was just 2D and simple, it had those little flourishes that made you recognize like that this is a next generation game, but it is still like at its core an original video game. You know, like the twin stick shooter will always be like the game of choice when it goes back to going to the roots. So
it's video game comfort food.
Exactly. So, you know, jumping into a new generation with another one of these with some new chops to show, it's gorgeous. Like, it's so fun and gorgeous and just absolutely heartbreakingly frustrating once you start getting up there and start beating all the high scores. But I own the leaderboard right now with the friends, so I'm just saying, Josh, if you want to, you know,
I'm coming. No, I'm coming for you. I literally, like, I saw that yesterday where I just like went in and I was like, oh, I should look at the scores and see where I rank.
Yeah, 10 million, I think. 10 million.
You're the only one who's beating me. And I was like, fuck that. There's no way that stands.
I love it. Yeah, I had a buddy that was beating me and he had about 5 million, so I figured I would double that. Oh, burn. But Resogun, that's the game to get. And you can get it for free right now on PlayStation if you have PS Plus, which comes free with PlayStation 4. Did you try remote play with that, Josh?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so there's no lag time. So remote play, basically, Josh, has been, you link it to your PS Vita. You link your PS4 to your PS Vita, and you can play your PlayStation 4 games on your Vita.
Yeah, and I even I really want, at first I had the screen right in front of me, and so I was literally, it was on the TV and on my Vita screen, and I was like, okay, let's go a little bit further. So I turned off the TV. Still, no problem. I felt like I was playing the game fine. And then I even went and sat on the couch, like away from the TV, a different couch away from the TV, and started playing on that. It just worked perfectly. The problem that it's going to have is that the backs, if the R3 and R2 are back triggers, or back, they use the back touch screen, you have to tap on that, which simulates those buttons. And that's a learning curve. That takes, and with something like Resogun, which is so straightforward, it's not that hard. You only like tap those buttons.
Yeah, but like with Killzone, you have to shoot by pushing the
exactly.
touchpad. Yeah,
exactly. Or like, I played a bit of Assassin's Creed with it, and I was like, this would be at least an hour of learning before you'd be comfortable with it.
And then it's
like,
odd. Then jumping back to it, then it's like you're going back and forth between remote play. I couldn't think of a situation aside from sitting on the toilet where I would want to continuously play my game on my Vita and sacrifice comfortability and fidelity. Like it's a game like Resogun is like the only example that I could think of something that I would actually do that for.
It depends upon how well it translates. Like I don't even think Killzone has remote play attached to it.
It does.
Oh, it does.
I think almost every title does right now.
Okay. Or maybe it was I thought there was some really high-end shooter that was incompatible, but like I think playing a lot of those indie games like Contrast would have been totally fine. Playing stuff like Sound Shapes, I'm sure. Well, Sound Shapes is a Vita game, so it translates perfectly. I think it's going to be a lot of those indie games where maybe you're grinding high scores or something like that, and someone wants to watch TV, you can be like, yeah, I'll just do remote play.
Right.
So I think if you have a family or you have a lot of people fighting over the TV, it's going to have a lot more. It's going to make a lot more sense in that type of household.
While we're talking about remote play, did you also download the PlayStation app on your phone?
I did. I haven't really messed with it though.
It's pretty good. I mean, if you need a quick, want to send someone a quick message, it's by far the quickest way to like accept friend requests and shit like that. Yeah. If you have your phone near, but
I think it also might be nice if I'm like, if I'm somewhere and I want to download something, someone makes like a game suggestion and I'm just like, oh, I'll just download it right now.
Right.
Like that might be a nice application of it.
I haven't tried any of that. And the Xbox app came out yesterday, but I haven't messed around with it.
Yeah, that should be downloading right now.
So what else did you get around to playing?
Contrast is the other one that I'll really talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I haven't touched it and it wasn't received very well. But I have to say that I think I kind of like the aesthetic. So what did you think?
The aesthetic's really nice. Everything else, like the aesthetic's really nice, and the core gameplay of it is that you are playing as this girl's imaginary friend, and you are kind of guiding her through these misadventures that she's having. And to assist her in moving forward, you need to ghost into shadows, and then you can platform using other shadows. So, like for instance, there's one part with a merry-go-round. And there's a light on the merry-go-round which casts shadows on the wall. And you can turn into a shadow yourself and jump onto the shadows cast by the merry-go-round to progress through the level. That stuff is really smart. Unfortunately, that is probably, it feels like that's 60% of the game. And 40% of it is really ugly, blocky, glitchy cutscenes. And traversing the world is also super glitchy and just unpolished.
That's a shame, but it makes me wonder because I hadn't realized that it was also coming out on the Xbox 360. Several days later, it came out.
Yeah,
or even on the Friday of, maybe it came out. I'm not sure, but it makes me wonder where all their development time went to. Like, were they developing for these consoles separately, or?
Well, I first saw this game at PAX East, and at that point, it was set for like a summer release. And it got pushed, and like when I talked to them about it, they kind of hinted it was for the next gen consoles. And I was like, oh, well, that's really cool. And then like I played a little bit more and saw a little bit more of the cutscenes. I was like, man, these are really ugly. I hope that this gets better because I really enjoy the core mechanic of it. But like the part I played one of the puzzle parts at PAX Prime, and I felt like I had played at like an eighth of the game already.
Right.
And like that's how it's really short, and like the puzzles are there, but there's just not a lot of them. And it doesn't feel redeemed by all you have to wade through to get to it.
That's a real shame because, like I mentioned earlier, the aesthetic, it's set in like an early late 1800s Germany or France. Where is it?
Yeah, I mean, it has that, that burlesque, almost Moulin Rouge-y, French burlesque appeal to it. Parisian, very murky colors, German expressionism. That's really cool. But aside from that, like, I mean, going downstairs and interacting with objects, it almost feels like it's like maybe early generation PlayStation 3 acceptable in like how ugly it looks. And I know it's an indie game and it's a super small team, and I give them all the credit in the world for, even I can't even make a game. So I can't imagine all the things that these people have to go through, but just, there's some bar for quality, and this game just doesn't meet it.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, it's also free if you have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
this
and
month.
So I think free's the right price. I think,
is the story compelling enough to push through?
No, the story's
man.
garbage. Yeah.
Man. So it's contrast to it shows the contrast between your taste and this game.
Yeah, it definitely does that.
But yeah. Oh well, maybe I won't play it then. There's way too much on the docket right now to stop and play other games. I also picked up Need for Speed Rivals. That is a new breed of driving game. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you what, Bobby.
Is it, you're loving it?
I'm loving it. It's a pretty great driving game. So I expected, because I know Forza is going to be like the since Drive Club got delayed, I know Forza is going to be the beautiful driving game, the driving sim that everyone is like, yo, new consoles, bro. Forza, you gotta get Forza, Gran Turismo. Need for Speed really holds up. It's actually pretty good looking. A lot of unnecessary effects, like everything's always wet all the time. I think they're just trying to show you, like, hey, look, our hardware can afford this, so everything is wet. There's always dust flying through the air and like leaves and old newspapers, and things are always there's always enough assets on screen to remind you, like, hey, you see all that? See all that stuff? Yeah, I can do that. That's basically what it's doing. But Criterion worked on this one again, I believe, right?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the developer.
Well, anyway, I haven't played much Need for Speed before this since Most Wanted on the Xbox 360. Not the reboot for Most Wanted, the original Most Wanted. That came out closer to release for Xbox 360. But I've noticed that this game feels fast. It feels very fast. It's not your typical sim. Things are flying by at 200 miles an hour. So basically, the core of the game is that you can choose to either play as a racer or a cop. And once you're done with the tutorials for either side, I recommend doing both. You're dropped into this open world, very big open world where there's other players playing. Some of them are cops, some of them are racers. You can choose to do events, but at any time, these people can interfere with what you're doing or be involved with what you're doing on a whim. So if you're racing and someone's playing as a cop, they will tell you. So what happens is, as you're completing events and you're going past speed cameras and getting points and getting your heat multiplier up, you're accruing points. So as you're driving and completing events, you have the opportunity at times to bank your points at a safe house. The points you can then use to purchase upgrades for your car, new cars, pursuit something. They're like items that you can use, sort of akin to Mario Kart, where now you can use EMP jammers and you can drop mines like bananas to try to evade the police or other drivers. So you can bank these points, or you can press your luck and continue on with your heat levels still up and continue to accrue points. However, the catch is, if a cop busts you or wrecks you, he will take your points and you will leave with nothing. Good day, sir. So the cop's objective is to constantly run into other racers or complete events to accrue their points and level up. And the racer has to get away with doing all these things without getting caught by the cops. It adds an element of excitement to the game that hasn't really been done too much in racing games before, where it becomes surprising and arbitrary in like how you have to act. You have to, it's that typical risk reward thing that, you know, it's been done in games, but this takes it in a racing game to another level, I think. So far I've had a lot of fun with it. So far same with Resogun, you get a high score and then you blow it. You get pissed, but it's great.
I was gonna say, does it kill momentum when you've done a bunch of challenges, accrued all these points, and then a cop just busts you and it's all for nothing?
Well, so totally. But as you go through to progress through the, I'm using air quotes, story, you get these cards that you have to fill out with objectives on them. You don't lose those, but you will lose the points. So you can still level up.
Okay.
But if you get busted, you know, you can play it safe and bank, you know, 10,000 points at a time. But, you know, you want to really get that 200,000 point, you know, 300, 400,000 point, and then bank that, and you're going up levels, and you're, you know, so they incentivize it quite a bit.
When you say that you said, you know, you might have explained this already, but busted, do you need to be like stopped with the cop next to you? When do you get into a busted state?
As your heat level rises, it doesn't always have to be players that are chasing you. Saying you're playing as a racer and there's cops chasing you. You don't always have to be pursued by just players. The AI will follow you as well.
There's AI cops around there?
Right, there's AI cops, there's regular cops. There's player cops. Once you hit certain heat levels, similar to Grand Theft Auto, it will escalate. You'll have helicopters chasing after you. You'll have to escape. If you slow down, there's a meter at the bottom that fills up when you've been near a cop for too long that says busted. Once that fills up, then you are busted. You also have your I guess armor or health that you can eventually get wrecked and lose everything as well. So racers can wreck you as well. They don't gain anything from it. You just lose all your points.
Is there that GTA style of emergent gameplay where those cop chases can turn into these epic things where like you tumble down this mountain, you still manage to like stay upright, you floor it this way, you drive through this ravine, 2 more cops bust out of here? Does it have that same sort of,
Probably not as heightened as you kind of made it there, but you are running from cops, hitting the brakes, turning a sharp corner, hitting a jump. There's really not too much room for like tumbling down a mountain or anything like that. When I say open world, it's mostly track. You're not. There's areas where you can drive through fields and stuff, but for the most part, you're on track. But it's fun. Like you drift to get nitro. It's Need for Speed meets Burnout meets Mario Kart is probably the best way I can describe it. So I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I haven't put too much time into it, but enough to get a sense of, what it offers. And I think it's really cool. I could see maybe it getting boring once you're grinding to like level 50 if you really want to do that. But for the most part, I mean, I'm playing with one other friend and we're having a good time. Just laughing, like I had like 90,000 points the other day and I was about to die and he comes and T-bones me out of nowhere and I lose all my points and he's hysterical and I'm like, yo, bro, like what the fuck, man? Like I'm trying to bank my points here. I'm trying to move up in the world. So, it has that element of it. I like it. I guess I'm a thrill seeker, in the same way that Resogun satiates that one, desire. But
it's definitely one of the launch games I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a big racing guy.
Yeah, well, Forza is supposed to be the killer since Drive Club was
I hate
announced.
Sims. There's no...
I've never been big for Sims. Greg, you play any racing games?
Not really.
No,
not really big on racing games.
Mario Kart was the last one.
Yeah, that was the last big one for me.
That's a good one, though. Maybe we should try to get that. I don't even know if I have it on my N64 for Saturday. That'd be fun to get going.
What about Super Nintendo?
I have it for that. Koopa Troopa Beach. Whatever. So, no other games, Josh? Come on. You call that a launch?
I played a little bit of Battlefield. It's very Battlefield-y. And I couldn't play any multiplayer, which is why I want to play Battlefield. So,
how was the multiplayer?
Sorry?
How was the multiplayer?
I couldn't even get in. I couldn't even get into a game because the servers were down.
Yeah, I heard it's been kind of a mess.
Fucking garbage. But and I shouldn't say that. These things happen. Like it's totally explainable. These things are gonna happen. But like, that's the one thing about, like, Battlefield has campaigns. They're very, very lackluster. I don't think they're very interesting. They're kind of, I think I would rather play a Call of Duty campaign than a Battlefield campaign. I think I'd rather play Battlefield multiplayer than Call of Duty multiplayer. And just, and so the fact that I couldn't even get into a multiplayer game, I played through the first two. I played a mission and a half of Battlefield, and then it froze on me like halfway through the mission. I was like, I'm done with this. I'll just play more Killzone.
Ouch, it froze, huh?
Yeah, and that's the only technical hiccup I've had with the PlayStation 4 thus far.
Call of Duty has been having problems on PlayStation 4 as well.
Yeah. Well, and EA even came out and they released a statement saying that something in the PS4 update was making their games run wonky. Believe what you will out of that. You
think it has to do with Origin?
I don't know. Like, who like, to that same degree, they could literally just be saying that,
Right. Like, who the hell knows what's really going on?
Yeah. And so, but I did have Battlefield freeze for whatever that's worth. The servers have been down almost the entire time. Someone said they were able to play Monday. But
what's funny is Need for Speed. I used air quotes for the story before, but it's so laughable. The story in Need for Speed. It's just like, you are a racer. You will prevail against the police. You can never stop me. And the police are like, they're responding like, gotta show you who the boss of the road is. We gotta take you out. Dude, it's fucking. You would think it's like a global conflict akin to the story of Battlefield or Call of Duty, the way that they're talking about street racing. It's hilarious.
EA's always been known for their subtlety. So, and then I played maybe an hour of Knack.
I was gonna see. I'm glad you played some of it because I didn't want to keep rambling. I'm pretty close to the end of Knack, actually. So,
oh wow.
What do you think of Knack? Because it's
this will be an interesting comparison because I played an hour of Knack. I played a bit of Knack at PAX Prime too, but when I played at PAX Prime, I was like, I thought it wasn't very good. I thought it was going to be very repetitive and uninteresting. And I played an hour, just that first mission where you're, doing the demonstration for scientists. And I was like, oh no, this could actually be fun. I can see how this could be a really enjoyable platformer brawler experience. How do you feel now that you've spent significant time? Because I hear that it gets repetitive.
It's definitely repetitive. But for me, taking a break from Killzone or Need for Speed or even Resogun, like these high intensity games, that's not to say that Knack is easy by any means. It's borderline Dark Souls, how many times you die in that game. It's very difficult. But in terms of the lightness and its platforming and the simple presentation, I think I'm enjoying it more with that frame of mind rather than like I want, a Crash Bandicoot or like, a Mario where they're going to incorporate a bunch of new. I shouldn't even say Crash because I'm just saying that because I wish, but there's not much variety in gameplay and there's not many puzzles, but the arrangement of enemies in every little arena that opens and closes, the arrangement of the enemies, I believe, is like what's supposed to be the puzzle in that game, because they'll throw a couple enemies at you, then they'll throw a couple of enemies and a big guy, and then they'll throw two big guys and a couple of enemies. And that's kind of Knack's mechanic in terms of how you deal with combat. You only have jump, hit, and punch, which eventually, if you find secret items throughout the world, you unlock new mechanics for the game, which is definitely overlooked. Like the majority is not doing collecting as much as I am traversing that world. But I just unlocked the combo meter. I'm on level 9. So it's like the combo meter is something that's actually kind of neat. Every couple of hits that you get, your stats increase or something like that, which is a mechanic that could have easily been incorporated in the beginning. So it's hard to say, especially since I've died so much playing this game, who they're trying to target. Apparently, playing the game on easy mode is very, very easy. Playing it on normal is very, very hard. And then there's 2 more difficulty levels after that. There's hard and very hard. But I mean,
it seems very charming and endearing. And like I said, I'm not very deep into the story, but it seems like it would be almost Pixar-y, DreamWorks-y in its kind of animated romp.
The story, it's a predictable, I'd say more like DreamWorks film.
Yeah.
the story visuals are very interesting, to say the least. Like, they're very enjoyable. The cutscenes, the humor is it's passable. It's cute. It's okay. Knack itself, his voice actor is a little bit contrary to his appearance.
That's what I thought. I always wondered why they gave him a Ron Perlman-esque voice when, like,
dude, totally sounds like Ron Perlman.
I was like, he kind of looks like I thought he'd be a little pal guy.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, all right, guys, let's go. And he's like, yeah. This is Knack.
Yeah, what's up? Let's kill these guys.
Yeah, exactly. But so far, very charming. It might be a little long, which, I mean, that probably, gives some negative connotations when you think a game is too long.
Yeah.
But I think the reviews it got were accurate. I think some people reviewed it a little unfairly because I think as generationally we've kind of run past the traditional adventure platformer, and we're looking for a lot more than that. And if you go into Knack just looking for that, then you're going to be pleased with it. Because visually it does some things that are clever. I mean, Knack himself is just like hundreds of moving particles.
Yeah. Once again, kind of in the same way, Resogun, it seems to show off the graphics in a unique way, not necessarily photorealism, like sheer power of this PlayStation, but it just looks unique in how it has all those moving parts.
Right. Yeah, there are parts that are interesting, and I mean, they're, even the enemies, there's smooth textures. I mean, we're talking like a DreamWorks Pixar film, like you said. So,
yeah.
All the textures are smooth. There's no, there's no geometry that's visibly apparent. So, it's charming. If you're looking for groundbreaking, breathtaking story, this is a simple adventure platformer with some gimmicky elements that honestly I haven't seen a game like this since N64 PlayStation 1 days, where it's kind of just whimsical in its execution. It's not trying too hard.
Well, especially because if you're looking for any sort of game like Knack, you're going to get those super endearing, super charming, high concept, low technical indie games, right? Like, that's kind of what has taken over that. So it's nice to see a semi-blockbuster platformer, of this type.
I haven't played any of the co-op, but apparently the co-op's pretty fun. You can play couch co-op. I haven't tried it yet, but I mean, apparently the co-op, from what I've heard, is kind of akin to letting your younger brother play as Tails on Sonic. Just here you go, here's the controller, have fun, but you're not really affecting gameplay. And I'm pretty sure that they can only affect it positively when they're playing. So that's probably an enjoyable experience as well. But like I said, Knack is not an ambitious game. It's very middle of the road. And if you want something like that, it executes to that target pretty flawlessly. I'm sure people can pick up on this theme in general, but it seems like there's almost all of these games are kind of like that, right? Nothing's trying anything too outside of the box. It's all very much like, this is what this game is. This is what this game is. You won't be surprised. You'll just kind of sit there and play through it, almost to give you something to do with these systems rather than being amazing games in and of themselves. Well, when you mentioned before, like Killzone has a checklist, a launch lineup kind of has a checklist. Like, okay, racing game, platform adventure game, shooter, sports game. Like, they have to go down and do that. And looking at both consoles, like, there's no other. Even at the tail end of last generation, like you said, it was predominant. This genre, it was predominantly indie games that had to offer up that gimmicky mechanic that made it original. But there's nothing on the Xbox that's going to be an adventure platformer like this. So if you're looking for that, PS1 launch day Rayman or that Nintendo 64 Mario, not on that par, obviously. I'm just saying, like, if you want kind of that colorful, whimsical world, then Knack is totally for you. Right, enough about Knack. I also played Flower for the first time. I mean, I'm going to skim over these next three titles really quickly. I played Flower for the first time, which came out, an up-res version came out on PS4, and it's short, but man, I think you would like Flower a lot if you've never played it before.
Oh yeah.
It uses the 6-axis. Well, it's not called 6-axis anymore. It uses the PlayStation Move, like turning and moving the controller to basically you start as a flower petal. You might have seen this before because it's kind of an older game, but they just came out with it on the PS4. And you fly through a field and there's like trying to collect all the other flowers, and it's very, very colorful. It probably actually I don't know if you'd like it because it doesn't offer too much as a story. It's very abstract, but it's super colorful, and it reminds me of. I mean, obviously, it reminds me of Journey a bit because of
that game company.
Which is the developer.
Which is the name of the developer.
The developer, right? It's not just that game company, but yeah, they're notorious for offering up something kind of brand new and outside of the box. So I've enjoyed that. It was like $6. Also played Lego Marvel with Kate, which has been super fun. Let me say it's really cool to play. Greg, you play the Lego games too, I remember.
Yeah.
It's really cool playing it on a next generation thing because there are certain times where things look very tangible. Like I want to reach through my screen and pick up. I probably sound like a civilian talking about video games right now. Like, I wish I could see it, touch it through the screen. But it's gorgeous. There's like an open world Manhattan. You could fly around as Iron Man and stuff. It's super colorful. Great. I say super a lot, huh? You guys get sick of me saying super?
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Thank you. Appreciate it. But Lego's a good game.
Wicked. You can say wicked.
Wicked awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd rather say super, like Super Mario Brothers. But yeah, also played that, and that's it really. But I'm impressed.
That's a launch lineup.
Yeah.
Boom.
I haven't messed too much with the Twitch with streaming.
I literally just like started doing it right before we podcasted. It's all right. Like it's Twitch. There it is.
It works.
Enjoy yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the most impressive thing about the launch in general is just sure stuff might not be exactly what you want or may not be as simple as you want it, but the fact that it just all is there and works and can be improved upon, I'm sure with updates and patches, like, that's great. Good. That's all we want.
Yeah, overall, a mostly positive launch in terms of functionality. I didn't experience too many hiccups. I mean, on Friday, the day of, there's a big message when you sign in. It says PlayStation Network is undergoing maintenance, obviously, because of traffic. But for the most part, it went off pretty flawlessly. A lot of Killzone, a lot of Resogun. I think eventually, even when Second Son comes out, people are going to be considering getting PS4s that haven't in the past.
Second Son will move consoles. God, that game has got. I feel like it has to move consoles. Like they are expecting that.
Yeah. But then we have Xbox One coming out basically tomorrow.
Yeah.
And a lot of reviews hit this week. We got Killzone, Killer Instinct, which is faring fairly well. What do you guys think about that? The whole Killer Instinct model anyway. I mean, the game is fantastic, at least it looks so. But what do you think about them offering it up for free and then you have to buy characters or packs? Huh?
Well, you were lucky enough that you're just getting it for free straight up, right?
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft sent me an email that says, they're unlocking all the characters for free for me. I don't know, one of those like Microsoft does something nice. I guess they're starting to do nice things for once.
How much are the characters?
You can buy like the first pack of all the characters for $20. I mean, the game is free. Okay, so you get Jago as your first character. Then you can unlock all the other characters for $20, which is 5 other characters in the first season, I think. There's 6 total. Or you can get the next version, which I think is $40 for like the whatever version, some silly name version, where you unlock like different costumes for that character. And then there's the full price version, which unlocks all the characters, all the customization options for that character. You get 2 physical pins. Oh, shit. My pop filter just came off. You get 2 physical pins. For some reason, it's called the pin version or something. I don't know. But, yeah, actually, I don't know if you can pay for the character a la carte. You probably can. But how do you feel about that model? I think it's all right. I mean, if it wasn't free, like the deal that what's that dragon game that just came out? Well,
Panzer Dragoon.
It's Panzer.
Oh no, shit, Crimson Dragon.
Crimson Dragon. Apparently, it's like a $20 title, and they're still charging you to buy assets for the fucking game, which is goddamn ridiculous.
And as someone I'm not particularly interested in Killer Instinct, or particularly like I'm not a huge fighting game guy. That I'm sure that there are people who will gladly pay $20 to get all the characters and just enjoy the game. I'm not interested, so I probably won't.
You're not going to play it at all, even though it's free.
Maybe like it's not, maybe I'd treat it the same way that I had to review Resogun and Contrast, so I played them like with that in mind. But I would have picked up Resogun and Contrast just kind of like, oh well, these are free, I might as well just see what they are,
right? And
just kind of dicked around. I'm sure I would have gotten into Resogun and still tried for high scores, but I probably wouldn't have gotten it with any sort of investment. And so that's kind of how I might pick up Killer Instinct and just see, oh, what is this? I have it for free, I might as well play it in between these other mediocre launch titles.
Greg, you played Killer Instinct when you were a kid on Super Nintendo?
Yeah, I played it.
Who was your character?
You
can just explain what he looks like. I'll tell you the name.
Swords.
Jago, maybe then.
Yeah.
Did Jago have swords? Or the skeleton guy? Spinal?
I was also that guy who shot lasers from his face.
Fulgore?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not in the first release, but they're doing it seasonally. So every couple of months, they're trying to run it like a League of Legends type deal where there are seasons and ladder ranks and shit like that. So I don't know. Looks good. It's a fighting game, next gen. It's the only one that's going to be out for a little while. So there's that. What else is there coming out this week? Dead Rising 3 looks good. It's actually getting decent reviews, which is not what I initially thought it was going to get. I thought people were going to shit on it.
It looked rough when it first came out, but it's come a long way, it feels like.
Yeah, some of the shitty Dead Rising mechanics are still there, but they fixed a lot of stuff, so I'm excited to play that.
Inafune, I believe, is not working on this one in any sort of like tangible capacity.
No, he's not. He's working on Mighty Number 9, so it's it's
a fair trade.
That's him now. So
well, and that actually, Inafune is great. He's wonderful, but I always felt like his hands-on need to be super mechanical about games kind of held that series back.
Yeah, definitely. So. But it's there. I mean, I'm excited for that. Apparently, it's what I didn't expect people to say this, but the same thing I said about Killzone, that it proves its prowess as a next-gen title. People are saying that not graphically for Dead Rising, but the sheer amount of units and AI functioning on screen at any given time it's a brand new thing. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. In terms of just amount of activity happening at once. Not exactly, graphics, but the graphics are still there. They're not bad. But we can talk more Xbox One next week once we get all our shit together.
Yeah.
So I'll be at midnight tomorrow night in Union Square.
Me too.
That'll probably be a little rowdy, actually. So
are they doing a big launch for that like PlayStation did?
Well,
I know Sony took out a fucking hotel, and so it probably won't be to that degree.
No, I got an invitation or like a notice in my email that said Microsoft is doing some kind of launch event, but it's not. I don't think it's anything. I mean, I'm just going to GameStop in Union Square, and that's a flagship store, so they're probably going to do like giveaways and stuff like that. It'll be a little more eventful than PS4 just being delivered by the Amazon UPS guy for me. Which it's freezing here right now. I'm really not looking forward to sitting outside for a few hours.
I won't even have to sit inside. I'll just go to the Xbox One wake, as it were, down at the GameStop. Everyone being quiet.
Well, we'll let you know how that all goes, and we'll have more shit to talk about. I want to get a couple of plays. I'd like to play and show you guys our playthroughs of some of this shit. So I'd like to try to get that going. So this Saturday, we'll have something up about that as well. My Extra Life shit. And I know last week, Josh, you shared your top 10 with us. And it was pretty decent.
Let's hit it. You agonized over this list.
I did not. Oh, over my list. Yeah.
Yeah, over your list, not my list.
Well, I'm going to go through my top 10 of the generation. And now, Josh had a little disposition first, so I can do it as well. I cheated a little bit. Okay? Maybe there's a combination or two. Okay? Maybe there's a shared position. Also, be aware, I'm going to give the same disclaimer that Josh did. These are my personal top 10. They are in no way, shape, or form reflective of its impact upon the industry or what it meant at the time, although my opinion does take that into account in certain aspects. We good? Can you sign? Sign there, Josh?
All right.
Greg, sign. Oh, nice. Yes. Good pen sound effect. All right, so should I start at 10?
Yeah, start from the bottom.
Start at 6.
6?
Start at 6.
So
That's pretty funny that you picked 6, Greg.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
that's pretty funny. So we'll start at 10, and after I go through these, I'm going to go through ones that...
How is it number 6? What's...
All right, wait.
Jesus Christ.
Greg already hates this list.
I can interchange 6 with 3. Like, they're so closely... Like, it doesn't even matter.
All right.
I also... Let me just say, on this page I have in front of me, I have... On the right side is, like, a scratch list of, like, probably 30 games, and I'm going to go... after I go through my top 10, I'm going to go through... those as well, which could honestly be easily interchanged with...
You gotta ramble those off.
I will. I'll fly through them. Okay. All right, so number 10 for me is Telltale's The Walking Dead. I needed to include that. I have very rarely in my life ever wept at a video game, and I feel like this belongs higher on my list, but there are way too many good games. But I think I was really... Not that I know them personally, but I was happy for Telltale that they dug themselves out of the dirt and they presented us with such a gripping story and such like a fantastic, it's better than the fucking show. It was great. Number 9 for me is Journey. One of my, I think not even. It's my actually, I think that was the only indie title you had on there as well.
Yeah.
But I have a bunch on my scratch list that I wanted to include. That Journey just had to take the cake just for what it did. I mean, my explanation would probably be the same as yours, and just how visually stunning that game is. It did something more than visually, with its use of colors and just artistic.
We said last week, the most amazingly natural co-op that you'll ever find.
That's really why it belongs on this list for me, is that the experience I had with a complete stranger somewhere in this world, without having any vocal communication or verbal communication, we managed to make our way through this world. And I wouldn't say developed a friendship, because at the risk of sounding corny at the end there, but there is some relationship that is built because you've experienced something with somebody. So I think that's fantastic. Number 8 for me is Rayman Legends. I know that's a recent title, but
it's so good though.
It is so fantastically good. The mix of variety and gameplay. I played it on the Wii U, so I think that using that touchscreen, playing with a friend on the couch, just simply the diversity in mechanics, the music levels, visually. Every asset in that game is taken care of meticulously. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. So I totally recommend playing that. That's a game for anybody to play and pick up. It's great. Number 7 for me, a lot of people are going to be like, but it's The Last of Us. So we all know The Last of Us, obviously, right? It's a fantastic game. I think people are going to be more upset that it's 7 and not 2. But when I have these other titles here, it's not just because they are better games. It's because of the experiences I've had and shared with other people as well. So The Last of Us, obviously, we know. Go ahead, Josh.
I'm sorry. I left off almost anything that had been released in the last year, just because you can feel very powerful about something now, but when you compare it to something that's 5 years old that you still have this super amazing connection to, that really the time can show what a game really is.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's totally fair to bump those down the list.
So I put The Last of Us there just because it's not because of why I think people would think. It's not because of the story. The Last of Us story for me was shocking at times, but it never really struck a chord with originality for me. I never was really compelled to and said this hasn't been done before, because it's it felt certainly cookie cutter at times. Even though the minutia was like, sort of idiosyncratic, the way that they work together, and Joel and Ellie and their idiosyncrasies and stuff. They add nuance to a traditional story. But I think that's where I think this belongs on my top 10, is because of that nuance, because of the character relationships, not so much the story itself. The people that you meet throughout this world, it truly felt like one of the only post-apocalyptic stories that I felt drawn to. Not stories, but settings that I felt drawn to because of the realization of probability of it. It was a natural born virus, right? It was not a zombie infestation. It was something kind of different. It was fungus. And I thought that they took a lot of time to craft relationship, which is something that I really find valuable in the actual Walking Dead comics and pretty much any good writing. It's character relationships, and I think that's where The Last of Us really, it really shines. So that's number 7. Number 6 is Fallout 3.
Woo!
All right, I thought Greg was just gonna yell at me because it was 6.
That's fine.
You sure?
It's okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm alright with it.
Fallout 3 to me, I spent not as close as time as much as Greg, but it was the first time that I really experienced player choice and felt conflicted with my decisions. There's never been a time before that. I mean, I know they've been offered in the past to have decisions with consequence in game, but never have I felt like the consequences were so dire and so final. For instance, Tenpenny Tower, or going to what's the town, Greg, with the nuke in it?
Oh, Megaton.
Small decisions when you go to Rivet Town. It's Rivet Town?
Rivet City.
Rivet City. So there's a lot of small decisions that you make in that game that I think a lot of games that followed, including, games like Mass Effect, even The Walking Dead. I mean, your options are very robust in that game. Another reason that Fallout's on that list is because of the unspoken stories of the Wasteland. Going through that game, you tend to piece things together through exploration that normally would not be noticed. That's not shoved in your face. Like you may find an abandoned house, and it may seem like nothing, but through further exploration, without even reading a note or hearing an audio cue, you can piece together things visually that something may have happened there. And that really creates this sort of imagination for the player with enough reinforcement for it to be an actuality. So I think all that stuff is littered in the Wasteland, and no other game has done it so well before as Fallout.
It's so haunting. Like that game's just like every nook and cranny of that world. I just always think of it as haunting.
Well, yeah, man, death claws. Shit's scary. Number 5 for me is Gears of War. I'm going to go ahead and lump Gears of War as one thing. But the Gears of War itself has faced a lot of scrutiny, obviously, for being bromantic with Dom and whatever. Gears is the bro game now with Call of Duty up there. But when Gears first came out, it was, so long ago now. On the Unreal Engine with Cliffy B heading the team, like it was a super ambitious project, bringing like this brand new IP to light. And at the time, there was nothing on a console that was as visually pleasing in terms of, dark, just this dark fantasy world, new universe being presented. I'll also say that the co-op was some of the most fun I've had with friends, playing through Insane on Gears of War, and just having a lot of laughs at our deaths over and over again. So that's why Gears of War belongs on there. Number 4 for me is Oblivion. I'm not going to say Skyrim, just because Oblivion to me was something I spent a lot of time playing in college. Obviously it's an Elder Scrolls game. which eventually led to Skyrim. So go ahead and make that connection. But Oblivion had a lot of the same qualities that Fallout 3 followed with. And like I said, I could probably interchange Fallout and Oblivion here, but for the same reasons that I find Fallout compelling, I find Oblivion compelling. I think the reason it's a little higher on the list is because I was never... I always played fantasy games, but I was never completely enveloped into a world as much as I was with random occurring events. Choice was a little less fleshed out than Fallout at the time, but at that time Oblivion was just I feel like that description's a little haphazard, but I know that it belongs there because countless hours played. Number 3 for me is Halo Reach. I'll easily say that the entire Halo franchise can be lumped into this, but I won't. Just because I found that alongside ODST, maybe a little higher, Halo Reach provided a story that was both tragic and anticipated with excitement. Because when Reach was first revealed, there's a lot of fiction about Halo. The books were out, The Fall of Reach, which I delved into a little bit. But the story itself, before you started the game, you knew that, the entire team was going to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. And it was interesting playing through the story, waiting for those moments. I'm going to share it with Halo as a whole, and kind of piggyback on the years past, even though it was past generations. But I can't think of a better time than when Halo comes out and my friends list is full and everyone wants to get on and play. It's kind of something that Call of Duty has taken the reins. But when Call of Duty wasn't as popular, Halo was the game, and I'm going to use Halo Reach as my second choice, or third choice there. I agree.
I think Halo Reach is the best of those Halo games for this past generation.
Altogether, I think it was the best ending. That ending was fantastic. I mean,
good. The ending's so good.
When you think like Halo 3 gets a little convoluted, Halo 4, it's like you're talking about Didax, and like things are getting a little crazy. But to know that there's a finite amount of time that this team of characters has together, and that the story will conclude in tragedy is like something very eerie to be playing up to. So that's that. Can you guys guess my top 2? I'll start with 2.
BioShock.
No.
Infinite?
Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh, yeah. I saw that was on your list. I'm surprised it's so high.
Oh, he's lumping the BioShocks at 1.
Yeah.
That's lumping.
Right. I am. I have to.
He's fucking lumping this guy.
And if I had to, it'd be BioShock 1. But Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 1 was a strange game. It was also highly anticipated because who doesn't love Assassin games with stealth? But it proved to be pretty underwhelming in terms of the repetition. It had some good ideas, but it took a while to get its stride. And then it fast forwarded from Altair into Ezio into Assassin's Creed 2. It took place in Italy. Many famous landmarks in Italy are in there. I spent a lot of time admiring the atmosphere in that game. They figured out how to make assassin training fun. Maybe that was Brotherhood. Well, either way. The story, I found myself connected to Ezio in a way, not so much Desmond. But he's sort of that like tongue-in-cheek, whimsical kind of character. He's got a smart mouth, but he can back it up kind of guy. I really admire that in the story and the way that they proceeded forth through the Assassin's Creed franchise. I think that they really outdid themselves in terms of taking on a Renaissance level Italy with the art that they had to procure. and everything together kind of just made this incredible experience. It hadn't gotten tired yet. It was at the pinnacle of what Assassin's Creed, and I think it's been going downhill since. So yeah, that's that. And then number 1, obviously, I have a tattoo of it on my arm. Fucking BioShock. It's hard to believe that it came out in 2006, but the original BioShock was something that changed the way I look at games. It made me understand that even within, the next gen was so fresh, Xbox 360, that it kind of made me understand that games do have creative license in a way that can be tinkered with. So, what's another way to say, in such a customizable way? Like, the art team got together and were so creative with how they put this together conceptually. It's not the barren wastes of a desert or like the water level. I know that's almost contradictory, but it's not these typical settings that we're seeing in games. It has that metropolis feel to it. It has that fictional setting that you only see in film. BioShock introduced Rapture to fiction, and it eventually led its way to be a kind of like a Portal / The Last of Us / Team Fortress 2 kind of phenomenon where cosplay is rampant and all that stuff. But all that aside, I mean, my personal reasons, I'm kind of tailing off here, but it did something for me artistically. It had some kind of creative spark in me. At the time, I was still going to school for English, and I remember looking on the walls in like I don't even remember the names of the places. I'm going to confuse it with 2. But just looking at the Art Deco style and just falling in love with it, and just hearing the dialogue and the music from the 40s and the smoky rooms and just the cohesiveness of the whole entire universe and the way everything worked was so far-fetched for me in terms of open-minded. Like, I wasn't as open-minded to that kind of stuff, I guess. But BioShock sparked my love of literature. It sparked my love of classic music. It sparked my love for so many things that it'd be impossible for me not to say that it didn't have the most influence on my life. In terms of even, characters like Andrew Ryan and Atlas or Fontaine, like it was just such a compelling story with a compelling environment. I know BioShock gets a lot of shit because it's a shooter, but sometimes that's not what matters. Same thing for Infinite. I'll transpose this over to Infinite now. Infinite was the perfect follow-up for BioShock Infinite. Obviously, where do you take to BioShock? Where do you take it? Up into the sky. Just as compelling of a story, just as compelling visually, unprecedented almost. It's in the same way BioShock was. Taking innovation to kind of this level where only teams like Irrational that have the foundation and the permission to work on something as creative, they come out with a product that is, it may be another shooter, and I understand that it's flawed in that aspect, but from a narrative standpoint, from a character standpoint, from almost every other angle, they approach these games with the utmost sense of like, we want to deliver to you something special and something refined, and I think they've done that so well in both games, and they work off of each other. Even though one was in the past, they coincide, obviously for reasons that, I mean, if you haven't played the game, I'm not going to tell you, but they coincide in such a seamless way that you wouldn't expect these two games released so far away from each other, almost 10 years apart, to have the same heart and soul that maybe games that have spent less time apart even have. So, yeah, BioShock is my number 1. Heart and souls.
Send your hate mail to John Aslona.
Send all your fucking hate mail, because you know what? Opinions are opinions. So now, real quick, let's touch on. I'll let you guys speak now because I feel like I've just been doing fucking what's his face that. Hello, thank you for joining. What's his name from?
Ira Glass.
Ira Glass.
Ira Glass.
I feel like it was. All right, everyone. Okay, so what's on my scratch list? My honorable mentions list. I have Portal. I have. Feel free to chime in with comments at any time.
Well, I mean, and I obviously already did my list, but Portal is my second favorite game of this last generation. Portal 2 is my second favorite, but Portal, they're the same thing, and those games are amazing. Kim Swift, who made Portal, is one of the most creative people working in games. I'm so excited for Soulfjord when she puts that out.
XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
Enemy Unknown.
Yeah.
Also amazing.
Call of Duty 4 is on there. Not, I believe that was the first Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Shadow Complex is on there.
I like Shadow Complex. That's good.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is on there. It was tough taking that out. Left 4 Dead is on there. Nobody likes Left 4 Dead. Greg, you like Left 4 Dead?
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Definitely fun. Far Cry 3. One that really hurt to take off was Bastion.
Yeah.
Bastion was a great game. I'll go ahead and just lump these together, the Dead Space series. Mostly Dead Space 1, but Dead Space in general.
It gave survival horror heart when there was not a lot of heart left to be had in survival horror.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the co-op multiplayer akin to Castle Crashers, which is another. What else do I have on here? Syndicate I actually put on here. That's a little controversial, I'm sure, but I enjoyed the single player for Syndicate way more than a lot of people did. I don't know. Oh, and another one in the same vein, The Darkness was a favorite of mine. I really liked Jackie Estacado and the whole arc there. It was interesting, and
what about Prey?
Those two have got to be. And not to take anything away from those games, but those have had to have been pretty early scratches, right?
Yeah, I mean, they mean a lot to me. Like when I think about things I enjoyed the most, I would say, The Darkness, the intro to The Darkness, driving through the Midtown Tunnel or wherever I'm going through, or the Lincoln Tunnel, and the intro sequence, and I don't know, something about The Darkness struck a chord with me, and that's why I really couldn't pinpoint what it did, and I know it wasn't acclaimed, so it's all right, it was good.
I think those games, both Syndicate and The Darkness are games that are looked back on with much more fondness than when they were released.
Yeah, you're 100% right with that. I have two more. I have Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, so good. So good.
And I have Spec Ops: The Line.
You know what's really interesting, and I think I'm coming to realize this, talking about Red Dead and Skyrim, and I look back on my top 10 list, and I think the single player immersive solitary experiences where you're just you have this whole thing to experience, no one to fuck it up for you, and you just go and do it, is clearly that's something I'm very into. I'm hoping that Elder Scrolls is becoming an MMO. Fallout 4 is hopefully in the pipeline somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's supposed to announcement may be coming, asterisk. But I'm hoping that we don't lose those experiences as we go forward. With all of the second screen integration, multiplayer integration, this is my hope as we sit here literally on the eve of next gen.
I'm excited to see what's next in terms of gameplay. Right now, everyone's playing it safe. They're releasing the shooter. They think we went over it 100 times. I'm excited to see when games like Destiny come out, what they're doing differently. Killzone has a little spice of that in there. We're going to think about how this plays a little differently. But I want to see how seamless the Division is going to be when we're playing multiplayer. I want to see how that works. Even with Need for Speed, I was talking about earlier, there is no full single-player story campaign. There is. You can play with AI, but it's designed for integration.
Titanfall is the perfect example of that.
Titanfall does not have the single player is the multiplayer. The story.
You're exactly right. It'll be so interesting to see how immersive that world can be when it's literally just like, hey, you want your story? Get through multiplayer. Like,
Right.
That's very interesting to see how that
Like
comes
you
together.
create your story. I understand how corny that could sound from a marketing standpoint. You create your own story with your fucking mech. Yeah.
But sometimes that's better than like you create your own story with your fucking mech. Then, hey, look at our bombastic world and cookie cutter characters. They're gonna say some cliche lines for you after they blow this thing up.
Yeah.
You know?
They're going to say something like, yo, we're stuck. Let's find another way around. Oh, dude, every fucking game says it. Every fucking game says, wait here, I'll find another way around. And I'm like, there goes another hit on YouTube. They're going to watch. Yes.
Yeah, because they're gonna go to YouTube and type in the line they just heard in the game.
No, I meant like it was even further than that. It was Nathan Drake is going to go listen to the podcast because he said, I'm going to find another way around.
He's gonna listen.
Yeah. It was already a joke before you made it one, Greg.
Sorry.
Fuck. But yeah, it'd be fun to see where mechanics go, especially with, I mentioned to you when playing Killzone, audio diaries, or in Resogun, the narrator in Resogun.
Yeah, actually, I'm just real quick. Those Killzone diaries, like the fact that you get them through your controller, is awesome. It's so cool.
The speaker on the controller is something that I wish Xbox One would have, but they don't. But it is another one of those little tiny spices, little flourishes that add a lot. Like when you're playing Knack and you run through a bunch of relics to pick up, you hear it through your controller, kind of like them clicking onto you, and it's so subtle. And I know the Wiimote did this, but the audio is much better on the PlayStation 4 controllers, but it adds an element of just immersion that's totally different. Hearing your audio diaries through a cheap audio speaker in your separate from your actual experience, I was like, whoa, this is really fucking
Think if the
neat.
BioShock auto diaries played that way.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Things like that, and this touchpad. And, a better Connect. All these tools that are being given to developers for them to figure out new ways to play is what really excites me.
Yeah.
So that's it. You guys know the news. Xbox comes out this week, PS4 last week. And we'll talk about Xbox next week. I'm hoping to get enough time with it, but hopefully we do something on Saturday. I'm going to take Pies in the Face on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that'll finally happen. I'm debating who I should let. I was only gonna do one pie originally, but I think I'm gonna do like 3, just because we raised so much money. And then we have to figure out our streaming options. But yeah, I'm gonna get a hero, drinks beers, stuff like that. Josh I'll Skype you and say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll marathon some games. But that's that. Greg, I can expect you at 8 a.m. with coffee?
No.
Fuck. All right, I'll probably be alone till about 5 p.m. I'll play my first 8 hours, like all by myself. Like, this is awesome,
Look, dude,
guys.
you only need people to hang out with you for that 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. time.
Doesn't it
That's
start
the killer.
at 12 a.m. Friday?
No, 8 a.m. Saturday morning to 8 a.m. Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But yo, I'm the cool kid on the block. I'm gonna have 2 new consoles. Everyone's gonna want to come over and just use my shit and leave. And it's like they leave their towels everywhere when they come over to use the pool.
Yeah.
It's not right. I'm the only kid with a pool. You're gonna leave your towel?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Bring your own. BYOT. Yeah, I hope some. I mean, I don't want too many people to show up, but I'm hoping a handful of folks at least. I'm gonna have a couple of. If you want, I have board games. We have 2 TVs. If you want to bring another TV, if anybody wants to bring anything, I have limited space in my apartment, but we'll make it work. I'm hoping to only get like 8 people, maximum. But we'll see. Anything else, Josh?
No, I'm good.
Greg, anything?
No.
Nothing to say?
No. I have nothing.
You're breathing kind of heavy. What are you doing over there?
Just
I can't see it. Our new setup, I have him facing the computer. I'm not looking at Greg. He's like behind me. I gotta look at him in my peripheral vision.
on a treadmill right now.
You're on a treadmill? Trying to lose some of that Chinese food weight?
Trying to get rid of some of the Chinese food weight.
Yeah. Shit, dude. I can't see. You don't look that bad.
No.
No, you look alright.
I'm pretty good looking.
How did Pillow Greg get sick?
He was out in the cold.
He was out in the cold. Well, he's a pillow. He should be bundled up.
Yeah, I told him to put on a jacket.
God damn it, Pillow Greg.
He doesn't listen.
Well, we'll talk to him next week probably. But all right. www.awaycast.com. Follow us on Twitter at the AwayCast. And it's been a pretty exhaustive week. And it's going to be another exhaustive week coming up. So, Josh, keep cranking out those reviews.
Yeah.
Try to enjoy yourself while you're doing it.
I will. I definitely will.
All right, that's what you tell the ladies.
I always enjoy playing video games.
Shit. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Greg, thank you for hanging out.
Welcome.
Josh,
Always a pleasure.
keep it real, brother.
Later.
Talk to you guys soon. Peace.